Here we are then, the fifth of the pre-season series sessions, and joining me on this occasion is James Bracey. James, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Mark. All good. Excited for the season. The weather's just helping to sort of keep spirits high at the moment, which is really good.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a touch with that weather being so nice, and you've been involved in your pre-season game today, in fact, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been playing at Taunton the last 2 days. So we've got one more day tomorrow. Had a bat yesterday and then fielded today. So just sort of getting miles in the legs, time in the middle, sort of what pre-season's all about. It's been a good couple of weeks.
Okay, well, we're going to go to our first theme, which is around adapting to new environments. Because someone like yourself, still a young man, a young player, has had lots of different teams that you've played in, both with county and then England Lions and then England itself. So, what is it that that you do to cope with the challenges of getting involved in a new dressing room, new group of people, as you set off then trying to play your cricket the best way you can?
Yeah, I mean, all these different environments, they've all got their different ways of going about things. They're all slightly different, but I think the main thing for me is, going into a different group of people, a different setup. Key thing is to just throw yourself in. It's so easy to sort of for people to say, be yourself, just do what you do, sort of things. But it is difficult when you're around different people who might have different ways of thinking and ways of going about things. So if you can just throw yourself in and take everything sort of with a pinch of salt, apply what you already know and what you're good at, and sort of combine that with all the new stuff that you're going to learn from all these brilliant people that you might not have come across before, you're going to have a pretty good combination of sort of knowledge and experience, which is how sort of you get the best results. I've just made a really sort of conscious effort to go into those places, use the people around me, get to know those people, because it's certainly more enjoyable when you have a sort of relationship or a sort of connection with people on a level that may not be just cricket. You might discover these people have similar interests, and especially when you go up and at the moment you're sort of isolated in these international environments, that becomes even more crucial. So I think just trying to enjoy it all you can, and just throwing yourself in and taking every opportunity you can get.
Now, I think you kind of answered my next question. Is stepping up a level something that you have to see as being something to enjoy and a challenge rather than anything intimidating?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've sort of studied similar stuff, and our psychologists at Gloss and with England always, they talk about challenge and threat and how you perceive certain situations. And I think that's just so sort of, it resonates so well with going up a level, I think, because there's always those doubts, always those you have those thoughts in the back of your head, or am I good enough? I don't really know what it's going to take, and that sort of thing. And that can sort of get in the way of what you do best and getting the most out of yourself. So I definitely think you've got to, whether it's, different people have different mindsets. Some people do naturally see the threat in a situation. I'm certainly one of those people sometimes. So it's trying to, as much as you can, see all those things as they're a good thing. And I think that's what made it easy for me, because all that sort of stuff happened at a time where I wasn't expecting it. I almost perceived it all as a bonus. So it was easier for me to go in with that more healthy, positive mindset, of everything's a challenge, and depending on how far you get, that's all a bonus from where you thought you'd be.
Yeah, I can see the value in perhaps not being completely prepared, it coming as something as of a surprise or even a shock. So as you would arrive at a new setting or a new environment, would there be things which you would have as a go-to that you do in your preparation more regularly, or is it that you just are going to take exactly how it's done by the wider group and take that learning straight away?
Yeah, I think on the field, it's certainly, I've played the game long enough, even though I'm not old as such. I've played the game long enough that I know how I go about my business. And it was good that I was able to implement that even in those different environments. So I have my ways I know how I prep best. I know how I prepare technically and physically prior to games. The psychological side has sort of started to develop more and more. I'm still working on all that. I think everyone is. Oh, sorry. I think everyone is, and I think that's something that, you know, never is going to be perfect. But I'm certainly learning how that works best for me. I think, yeah, it's such a difficult one. I'm still sort of going about that. I think I learned a lot of stuff when I was isolated in bubbles and that sort of thing. I think because that was my first experience, I had to think of ways to get around that sort of isolation. I started doing yoga. I started reading a lot more. I started doing all these things which sort of provide stimulation without having to constantly think about cricket, which was something I found really important. And I think that's stuff that I'm now that COVID, fingers crossed, is passing through, and things are becoming more normal again, is stuff that I'll continue to do because I knew that was stuff that would help me get the best out of myself.
That's good to know. Now, looking at the other side of this, sounds like, yeah, there's lots of potential in joining a new environment and learning from new people and picking up different ways of doing things. Whether it be in that new environment or one that you're more established in, where for you is the most important thing to connect with in terms of your role as a teammate? Because we look at someone like yourself who'll be taking the gloves, who'll be batting, who'll be doing those things. What is the significance of your role as a teammate? How do you want to be doing that role?
Yeah, it's massive. I think you've got to be. It's so difficult to do, but just generally, you know, being kind, being emotionally. I think it's something that at Gloucestershire, in particular, is something that, as a squad, we're at. Everyone's brilliant at. I think through exposure to sort of hardship and people have had bad situations and that sort of thing, I think we've learned really quickly and had to learn really quickly about that sort of emotional intelligence and knowing when people are struggling. I think it's something I've definitely seen in our group, is how far it goes just to notice when someone's not 100%, to notice when someone's, you know, something's not going exactly how they'd want to, whether it's just, you know, they're not playing as well as they'd like, or there's something more going on. Just, you know, being there and asking, are you okay, is absolutely huge. And I think, you know, being aware of how your teammates operate, being aware of how they think, and what situations might trigger certain feelings, I think is really crucial. It's just as important as knowing when you're not feeling okay, because you know that if one of them was to come to me and ask that question, it would certainly make me feel a lot better. So I think that's really, really crucial, just knowing how your teammates operate, getting around them, and just knowing how to make them feel better.
Yeah, and it can be overlooked, can't it, that there's everything about cricket statistically, or not everything, but a lot of things about cricket are statistically very individually driven. But we, of course, whether we play it for a living or we play it for recreation, it is a team sport, and we can get some benefits from that. And linked to that, what we try to use cricket as a vehicle for in terms of open cricket is connecting with some of those mental skills or the mental fitness in sport, to say to people, actually, cricket offers you everything to have a mentally healthy lifestyle. And one of them, which I think is particularly applicable for a player like yourself with kind of the dual roles, is what we can do to narrow our focus and concentration to be able to switch on and off as appropriate. For yourself as a keeper and or a batter, is there anything that you employ to be able to sharpen that as a skill?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything formal that I do. I think it's more of a case of almost trying to distract yourself sort of during those times. For example, the keeping especially, I think batting sort of takes care of itself a little bit more, especially while I'm out there, because, you know, you do all these traditional things like chat to your partner, garden the wicket, walk away from the, and all this sort of stuff sort of takes that time in between balls. Whereas keeping, I feel like because you're in the same spot, you take the ball, you pass the ball on, you've then got a minute or 30 seconds where you want to switch off, because it's a lot of mental energy you're expending 7 hours in the field anyway. You don't want to be, as you said, switched on that whole time. So I just make, like, it's nice, especially in 4-day cricket, just to talk to people. That's one of the great things about our job is we're constantly surrounded by people we enjoy being around. And I just like to, you know, we chat, like today we were chatting probably for like an hour in between balls. You know, we're all, bowler gets to the top of his run up, we're all focused, and then we're all in our positions, bang, we're set, we're ready. Then after, we're chatting about, you know, oh, what are we going to do after cricket? We had a big discussion on it. It's nice to be able to have those conversations with people. It passes the time. It's nice to do, and it makes that switch on and off between balls a lot easier. As long as you then know how to switch back on, so that, you know, when the chance comes, you're taking it. I find that good. You have interesting conversations with people about anything really. Like, everyone's got their own opinions on the world, and it's nice to tap into them.
Yeah, oh, great stuff. Yeah. Now, the other one that I wanted to to explore a little bit is probably the thing that people want to have the most as a mental skill or part of their mental fitness is resilience, or bouncing back from setbacks and difficulties. Anyone who's playing the game for a sustained period of time for a living will have those skills, because cricket has so much failure in. What's worked for you in terms of dealing with when it hasn't gone well to then come back to your best after?
Yeah, certainly an area that I'll happily admit I have struggled with, and I still probably at times do struggle with. It's not easy, especially when it's your career and it's everything you're doing, especially in the summer when it's tends to be all you think about or all you do is playing cricket. When it's not going to plan, it's easy to get down on yourself and allow it to impact the next game, the next ball, the next opportunity you get. So yeah, I think the main thing for me is, you know, on a larger scale, that switch on, switch off. Outside of training, outside of game days, when I go back home, reducing the amount of cricket related stuff I do. I don't watch as much cricket now when I'm at home. If I want to watch the highlights, test highlights, T20, I'll watch them at the ground in the morning. I won't keep any cricket kit in my room anymore. I think that's a really healthy thing, because it just allows you not to constantly be focusing on cricket, especially in those moments when you're not doing as well as you'd like. And I think in terms of resilience, actually, when you go out to the middle, you might have had a bad score the day before, the week before, but the next time you get out there is another opportunity to do something good. And you've just got to try and develop sort of a deep sort of self-belief in what you're doing. I think that's something that I've certainly got better at since my experience in Test cricket. Is sort of people have made me aware that I'm still a good cricket player. I'm not, and also that I'm a good person. I'm not a bad person. I think trying to separate your self-worth from your cricketing ability is crucial in trying to help you bounce back. I think if you attach those two together, you're never going to bounce back, because you're constantly putting yourself down. Just little things like that. I think as long as you can sort of enjoy it, sort of see every time you go out to the wicket as an opportunity, I think you're going to be in a lot better place to deal with it when it doesn't go as planned.
And you mentioned that life away from cricket, which I think is an important thing to mention as our last theme here.
Yep.
Identity is a recurring theme whenever we have these discussions about how people view themselves and how they're viewed by others. And of course, it doesn't help that we'll put this as James Bracey, who does this role for Gloucestershire County Cricket Club, and sort of listing your CV, but only talking about you as a cricketer. Now, of course, for the audience, that will be the reason why they're going to watch or listen. So it's just some randomer talking about cricket. But for you, it seems like that is quite a conscious thing that you do to make sure that, yes, you do happen to play cricket for a living, but there's much more to you other than that.
Yeah, I think I make more of a conscious effort now, because I know that in my first 2 or 3 years as a professional, and certainly in those 2 or 3 years beforehand that I was in pursuit of being a professional, cricket was all I thought about, which I think on one hand was brilliant, because I put a lot of time, a lot of effort. I worked really hard to get there and to establish myself. So that was great. I think once I'd done that, I sort of realized that there are lots more things to life than cricket. I met my partner, I bought a flat, I did all these other things, and I was like, I knew I'd sacrificed a lot in order to achieve that, and I wouldn't change it, but being able to appreciate all those other things in life as well is really important. And I think it's certainly healthy to make sure you give enough time to those things, and that will help. No doubt, it helps my cricket as well. I think you used obviously the word identity. We've spoken about it so much with Gloucestershire. Is sort of, how do you see yourself? And I think it's great to see, like, so many of our guys see ourselves as people who enjoy other things but play cricket for a living. They don't instantly go, we're cricketers. Like, we don't really use the word cricketers, which is strange, but quite sort of empowering, is the fact that we see ourselves as people who play cricket but have all these other things to us, which is really cool, I think.
Yeah, and that's so important. I think anyone who sometimes looks at the professional game and just maybe imagines people to be sort of consumed 24/7 with it, and you wouldn't do that with another job, or if you did, you are risking stress and burnout and all these kind of things. So just because someone gets paid to do it and there's an audience watching it who have certain demands, no reason why the human being should change from there. And just finally on that point, when you get to, say, at the end of a game and you've got a packed schedule during the summer, what is then the little moments and the little bits of time that you have there which do get you distracted just away from cricket and to reset?
Seeing my family, seeing my partner, I think is what I really enjoy doing. I'm a big football fan, so I try and watch football, go whenever I can. I think just spending time with other people, and also with other people, like some of my best friends are in the Gloucestershire changing room, and I love it whenever we're in that environment, and I love spending time with them outside of the game as well. But it is nice to have time away from them. I think our new coach has come in, Dale Benkenstein, and he's really big on, if you have a day off, use it wisely, have that time off, get away from all the other lads, because you know that you've got 6 months now, starting from now, where you're going to be on top of each other 6 days a week. So, going away, trying to go away on trips with my partner. She likes to travel. I understand that my profession doesn't necessarily suit that. So when we can, trying to do that. Just enjoying time away from the cricket ground. I think there's not like a huge, I'm studying at the moment, so that's another thing that is almost quite relaxing for me. As much as I find it challenging, it's something that I like to do to provide that little bit of distraction. Just taking my focus off cricket is quite sort of relaxing at times.
Okay, as we move to this season, which is right up upon us now, what things have you learned so far in your career in terms of, I guess, maintaining just a healthy mind that you will be putting into play as the busy schedule begins?
Yeah, so that issue of sort of distraction is not distraction as such, but enjoying all those other parts of my life. Making sure, I think I get a lot of satisfaction, a lot of sort of makes me feel a lot calmer knowing that I've prepared really well. I think even sort of in a packed schedule, I like to know that I've got everything done to make sure I can perform my best. And I think something that's sort of come to light with me a lot more in the last 6-8 months is the power of sort of recovery and rest and sleep and making sure that's nailed down, because I think my motto has always been, harder you work, the more you'll get, the further you'll get, and you're bound to sort of, the more gym sessions you do, the more balls you hit, the more time you spend thinking about cricket and on your game and that sort of thing, the better you're going to be, which to an extent is true, but to another extent, probably you get to a point and it starts to be of detriment. So if you're given a day off, try and use it. Make sure you sleep well, prepare well, and use that time to relax your mind as well as your body. I think that's something that I will be definitely utilizing more this summer that I've sort of learned recently.
Excellent. Well, I suppose there's nothing more, well, there's plenty more we could say, but we'll be here all night. So thank you so much for your time, James, and I wish you really well with going ahead. Thanks, mate.
Thanks very much, Mark. Cheers for that.